Hello and welcome to another episode of Ranked. Today we're gonna have a similar situation to last time, in which I ended up doing some party matches in between. But I've got some good ones for today. The first one is a rematch against that one Twintel player Shantae from the last episode that gave me trouble. And then we also have a match against Pineapple. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's get into this. So first game against Shantae. They surprised me by using the Scully and the Ice Dragon instead of the Cracker. They also had a Popper in their set, so they had made a change for whatever reason. The reason I'm using the Birdchuck here is to knock down the Dragon. See, I found out, sort of by playing a bit, that the Birdchuck isn't very good at being an aggressive arm. That's more what the Funchuck is for. The Birdchuck is a lot better at being a more defensive arm for knocking down arms. Similar to the Parasol, it acts as a shield against light arms, but it can also be really effective in creating a wall that'll prevent medium arms, which allowed me to effectively block the Dragon a lot of the time. Unfortunately, they might have realized this and they got kind of defensive there. I've been starting to aggress with the Slamamander, realizing that the Birdchuck wasn't really a good idea to aggress with, since if she shields it, then it'll fall down to the ground pretty slowly. But if it misses, oh well. The Slamamander would just be better for that. Plus, she's doing a good job dodging it. I thought I would be able to pull a fast one on him because the Birdchuck would be able to beat the Dragon and the Scully, but unfortunately not, and I get dragoned. There's not really any way I could make a comeback now unless I was able to get some chain grabs, which is kind of not something that would work on this player. So I'm just doing a little dance. And they take round one. On to round two. I switched to the Nade because I think it's better against Twintel. Also, it's just probably the arm in my set that I'm best at, and it'll also let me get a bit closer. Plus, when I miss with the Birdchuck, I might be able to hit her with the Nade instead. Another reason I switched to the Birdchuck was for the rush, since, in my opinion, the Birdchuck and Funchuck and the Chakraman Ram have probably some of the best rushes in the game, just for how good they are at hitting people. They're also really fast, so that's good. The only problem with them is if you miss that, or if you hit the shields, they'll not do very much damage if the shield breaks. So, one thing this player does that I noticed is whenever they have a rush, they start going for a lot of random grabs, and what they're trying to do is get you to bait you to punish them. That way they can land a rush, since the Dragon rush and the Scully rush, the Dragon has a lot of range and the Scully is just fast, so that's what she's trying to do. I don't think I realized it at first, but later I realized this. And see, what happened there was the punish. One thing that also happens is the Nade is a fairly large arm, especially on Mechanica. I think she has a 4 out of 5 in the arm girth scale. So had they not used their arms, that would have been a pretty wasted rush, but luckily they decided to go for an attack, so I was able to get the rush there. However, I should be wary of players that are far away from me in the air, because oftentimes they are able to land before the rush connects. I'm able to super armor through though and land the finishing blow to take round two. Round three they switched to the Popper, which, you know, I've recently found between this match and against Pineapple that seems that a really good Popper use. It gives me a lot of trouble, simply because I can't really react to it, and Mechanica is so big that you've got to get kind of lucky to dodge it. So, see, what happened here was, because I hadn't thrown my Birdchuck out, it weighs more than the popper, so it'll go through that. And since it has so many shots, it only takes one shot to knock over the dragon, meaning I was able to land the rest of them. Unfortunately, no finishing hit connects. Yeah, see, there's the popper again. Maybe if I were to get closer, since the popper gets wider the longer it's out. Or maybe I just need to shield more. I immediately go for the grab there, not even waiting for a shield, because if she goes to break the grab, then I would have been able to super armor through it anyway. So this rush here, it was also yet another lucky rush, and you can even see their shield sort of tilting, which I didn't know it did that. Because in the past, they've been really good about being able to get out of the way of the rushes, but something hit her, which ended up letting me finish the rush off. So I only need one more hit on her, but now she has the rush, which puts her at a significant advantage. And if she hits it, she'll be able to get my health pretty low. And the popper is able to sort of nick me and then combine with the dragon. However, it doesn't knock me down. And now we're both on a sort of last hit thing. I'm on the magic pixel, but I just need to land a hit on her. But alas, it doesn't even end with a double KO. It got close, but not quite. Anyway, this time though, they did rematch, and we're going to everyone's favorite stage, Ninja College. Honestly, I don't think it's that bad, but I can understand why people don't like it. It surprised me how they switched to double scullies, simply because of how much I've been relying on knocking down arms. This would just make it easier. They do better than I would have expected them, though. Still, I do knock down a lot of scullies. They do a good job at weaving them through, and getting a random grab as well. So when a charged nade hits the shield, it doesn't seem to have as much lag as an uncharged one. The uncharged one just falls to the ground. That was a pretty bad rush. I was expecting them to attack, since they often do. And because they were trying to dodge the explosion, I was able to not get hit by the rush. So they were probably expecting to grab that time. The better option would have been a nade punch, simply because it would have powered through the scullies, and if it hit the shield, then it hits the shield. Unfortunately, because of the altitude of Ninja College, she's able to land sooner, which unfortunately means that rush wasn't able to land. Also, this is still round 1, but I grabbed at the beginning to charge rush since it's too far away to punish. So she switches back to the dragon, but not the dragon popper, instead the dragon scully. If I had to guess, they're just trying to get good at the scully, because otherwise they probably would have switched to the popper. So I think they're again trying to bait the punish, and they're able to do that from me. Now I'm trying to get closer and knock down the dragon. I don't think they've been hit, or maybe I hit their shield. These grabs are really risky. They can really easily punish them. I was just waiting for the attack or the jump or some sort of mistake though, which lets me get the rush and knock him down. And somehow that dragon laser hits, and that one doesn't. So see, at this point I sort of realized they were trying to bait me out. See that rando grab, and I'm able to just barely escape that laser. Another thing they were doing throughout this round is using the altitude of Ninja College to make it so their dragon laser is a lot harder to knock over. I go for the shield break, and I'm able to get it, dealing 105 plus a ton of chip damage. I also get some lucky grab I wasn't expecting to get. I think that was actually a missed input. Strangely, a ton of my missed input grabs are actually land. And I end up finishing her off with a explosion from the counter and do a little dance. On to round 3 now. We are on Sparring Ring, which is my favorite stage. It's good for Mechanica because it's small, but it's also just nice not having to worry about cars or stairs or a bowl. That's one of the few times I've actually gotten a shield break from something that wasn't a rush. Usually when I get shield breaks, it's only for rushes. And I'm on such a roll that I just go for the rush and it lands. I was hoping for a perfect, but now it current got ruined. And I'm also getting a bit confident here, but they're able to get back on their feet. And they very well could make a comeback. Unfortunately for them, the rush only grazes me and I'm able to pull out the shield. Their random grab hits. And at this point I'm thinking, if they make a comeback, I'm going to be so angry. Which sort of made me rethink about this, and I was able to punish a lucky grab, or an unlucky grab, and be a bit more cautious round 2. Oh, looks like Biff's online. Cool. Of course, still going for these random grabs. That grab was really, really good. This player really does know how to land a grab. That grab definitely should not have landed, but I've been the victim of punching and not breaking grabs before, so might as well be the lucky receiver as well. And that's an example of why I should not be throwing out all these grabs, because it's easily punished. I noticed they almost have a rush charged. Had they rushed there, I definitely would have been hit by it. And once again, they forget the explosion and end up losing their rush. Oh, and then I rush there because I break their arm and take the finish. And one cool detail I like about this game is when you finish with a rush, I've never really taken this in before. It's just sort of always been there, but I just love how the screen goes all yellow, black, and has all those blue swirls. It's just such a nice detail, and it's only there when you finish with a rush. Finish with anything else, and it'll just sort of be that red thing. Whatever that's called. Anyway, our next match is against DJ. Startup grab is able to hit them. I do a little dance just because they were well, the startup grab landed and they had the same badge as me, so I thought that was kind of cool. So the thing about this player is, I don't really think they were bad, and I don't think they were doing that much wrong, per se. It's just one of the situations where they're good, I'm just better. I do not even know why that Slamamander didn't connect. If I must say though, one thing they did do a lot was jump right in front of me, which let me punch them. I switched to double nades, which turns out to be a mistake, but I mean, I do worse this round than before. This Slamamander did a better job at catching him. They sort of got the ball rolling, but I'm remembering the game against Shantae where they almost made a comeback and thinking, oh, I could do that too. Which is I'm able to land the rush, which sort of lag finish, but once I'm able to get the ball rolling, it's a bit harder to stop because they're not charging their arms unless they shield. But see, those uncharged Hydras, I'm either going to punch through them or I'm going to use super armor. And a bit more lag there, but I'm able to get the finishing blow with a rush and see that beautiful yellow, green, blue swirl thing. So the funny story about this is they actually didn't want a rematch. So I made a rematch, but they didn't. So I was back on the title screen just waiting for a match. And I ended up waiting so long that I ended up being matched with them for a second time. We even got the same stage. I go for the punch instead of the grab, thinking they probably expect a grab. I do much better now, though. Oftentimes what they'll do is they'll punch with the Coolerang and then punch with the Hydra, but one of my arms will punch through the Coolerang and then the other one that's not knocked down by the Coolerang will punch through the Hydra and land. I'm really overestimating the speed of the glove rushes. I think they got nerfed, but they used to be pretty fast. They're a bit slower now, which makes it harder to land them up close even, and especially when they're far away. I'm able to get the finishing blow before they can land their rush, which means I start off by retreating so they don't do a startup rush and catch me, although they probably still could have if they angled the Hydra in my direction. However, now that I have the rush, I know that my Slamamander will beat out their Coolerang, but unfortunately their Hydra is able to slip through before the glove reaches them. This out of the blue grab must have been a surprise because I think they could have punched through with the Hydra if they had known about it ahead of time. I think if this player was just better at aiming their arms, they might have been able to get a lot more hits. I was noticing they would always shield after those encounters, which let me punish that and get a grab. And that YOLO grab landed, and for the finishing blow, I take game 2. So my next opponent is Pineapple, and of course we go to the worst stage currently in ranked, named Redacted. For some reason he's using the Bub, which, I mean, could work, but I don't think it's very good against super armored characters, for obvious reasons. So he was in the air and he had one of his arms out. This is one thing I hate about Named Redacted though, is I think because he was on the conveyor belt, the Slamamander was like just barely missing him because it was pushing him to the side as I was punching him. And it wasn't until he got pushed off the conveyor belt that I was able to do that, or hit him with the Slamamander. I'm able to finish him off. I don't think he has Rush charged. However, in round 2 he switches to the Popper, my weakness, and these tubes really get in the way. These charged Poppers, I only need to be able to charge my arm in order to at least counter them by punching through them, which I can do by shielding, but it's hard. It's hard to do by moving. It might be better if I had thrown more uncharged hits, because Cobra doesn't have super armor. The clapback's able to go through everything though, and finish me off with the big swirl. So on to the last round. I switched to double Slamamander to deal with these annoying tubes as well as the clapback. I rushed because I was expecting a jump, but the popper is able to slide in through just at the right timing to not be cancelled by the rush, but not be cancelled by the Slamamander either. I notice he's shielding, so I go for the grab and it lands. See, he almost has rush charged, and now he does, so I'm expecting a rush soon, and he does. I have my rush, and I actually go for it, and it even lands. I don't think he saw that coming. That was probably the finest moment I had in this game. But yeah, this popper, I've just got to learn to deal with it. I think I should either start trying to knock it down more often, like punching before they do, so it gets knocked down, or shielding more, but be wary of grabs. So those were some good games. Unfortunately, he did not want to rematch. I don't blame him. A lot of the times whenever you rematch, it'll go to the same stage. So our final two games are against Awa. They're using Bite and Bark for this round. I don't see a lot of Bite and Bark players online. Only one I even know is MMB. He's also using the popper, but not as effectively as Shantae and Pineapple. I'm using the Nade's explosions pretty well, but the Seiki still gives me a bit of trouble this game, simply because Mechanica's big and has super armor, which makes the Seiki super effective on her, at least when it hits. I don't know what Bark was doing, he just started flying, I guess. Anyway, we both have rush, but I would be able to power through his rush, and maybe even use his Seiki against him if it lands. I'm really trying to just knock down the Seiki though, since with Mechanica, especially with her being so big and somewhat slow, makes it harder to dodge it. So I switched to the Birdchucks because I know I've got to be knocking this thing down, so I can use them to knock it down. Plus with their huge shield-like properties, it'll make it good against the popper as well. I didn't know that the grabs could do that. I thought only punches could disable arms. I dodge backwards to stay away from the explosion. So this time they don't actually shield immediately, but the grab still manages to slide through their Seiki. And I get another lucky grab on them. And I rush because they jumped, so I decided this time maybe I should jump too to meet them in the air, which will make my rush more likely to hit. I think I'll probably try that next time against other jumpy players too, is to jump whenever I rush to meet them in the air. So our final game is on Scrapyard. They switched to Springtron, which is fitting because their badge was of Springtron. They're also using that pineapple combo from earlier, which in theory should be effective against the combo I'm using now, because both these arms are large and pretty straight flying. Unfortunately though, they're not quite as good at the clapback as Pineapple. I'm able to hobble over behind the pillar and save myself from a grab or really any sort of punish. The shockwave knocks my grab down, which not only allows him to get a knockdown with the popper, but also I'm far enough away for him to get an EMP blast. I go ahead and rush, but he corners himself, which is quite nice. Thank you for cornering yourself. Just going too far away from his clapback makes it easier to hit him. One thing I did notice that they would do is, if they got hit by an explosion, they would shield right afterwards. Unfortunately, I didn't notice it until later into round 2, in which it was too late and I didn't get an opportunity to take advantage of it. Still though. I don't go for the grab because I have rush. Instead I go for a charged nade punch, so if they decide to use rush to cancel it, they'll just be hit by the explosion. They switched to Thunderbird, which is probably a good choice. It's pretty good against Mechanica, considering she's so large. So they jumped, the nade doesn't really connect, but the Slamamander still does a pretty fair amount of damage. I'm able to just slip right through, and I think they could have broke my shield had that last popper hit. They don't punish the shock, which is not lucky. I get a lucky grab on them, sort of a lucky read, and finish them off. So, good games, thanks for watching, have a great day, bye!